this video, we will use an algebraic technique to test to see if the graph of an equation is symmetric with respect to the x-axis, the y-axis, and the origin. So our equation is going to be y is equal to x over x squared plus 1. And we will start with testing to see if the graph of this equation is symmetric with respect to the x-axis. So if I am symmetric with respect to the x-axis, that means that when I substitute in negative y for y, I get an equivalent equation. So we're going to get negative y is equal to x over x squared plus 1. We're going to multiply by negative 1 on both sides to get rid of this negative sign. This gives us that y is equal to negative x over x squared plus 1. Since this is not an equivalent equation to what we started with, we can see that I am not symmetric with respect to the x-axis. So it's not symmetric with respect to the x-axis. And that is because the equation that we get after substituting negative y for y is not equivalent to our original equation. We're going to do the exact same thing to see, we're going to do a similar thing to see if I'm symmetric with respect to the y-axis. So now let's test to see if we are symmetric with respect to the y-axis. So that means with respect to the y-axis, whenever we see an x, we want to plug in negative x. So we should get y is equal to negative x over negative x squared plus 1. We know that the square of a negative number is the same as the square of the positive number, so this negative x squared is just going to give us x squared. So we get negative x over x squared plus 1. Again, this is not an equivalent equation to what we started with. So our conclusion here will be that we are not symmetric with respect to the y-axis. Remember, if you're going to test to see if you're symmetric with respect to the y-axis, you want to plug in negative x wherever you see an x. And the last one we want to test for is to see if we're symmetric with respect to the origin. When you want to test for symmetry with respect to the origin, wherever you see an x and y, you need to plug in negative x and negative y respectively. So this time, to test to see if the graph of this equation is symmetric with respect to the origin, I'm going to have negative y is equal to negative x over negative x squared plus 1. Now again, we can go ahead and simplify. So this gives us negative y is equal to negative x over x squared plus 1. We can multiply by a negative 1 to get rid of that negative y we have here. And we'll see, we'll get y is equal to, because we have negative x times negative 1, that's going to give us a positive x over x squared plus 1. Now this is equivalent to the equation that we started with. So the answer is going to be yes, it is symmetric with respect to the origin. Okay? Again, if we want to test to see if we're symmetric with respect to the origin, you need to plug in negative x and negative y.